will be a win at Wembley.
Black who's going to go for it. Black for the 1 point to win the grand final for Halifax, and he's done it. Ben Black strike.
Hello, good evening and welcome once again to the Fax of Life, your Halifax Rugby League podcast. My name's Rick Farrell and I'm joined in the secret bunker in Happy Land, Happy Fax, by the one and only Mike Haigh. How are you, Mike?
Good evening.
Good evening. And this evening we've got a very special guest. He's the editor of Rugby League World, a reporter for League Express. He's one of our own, and the new face, the new head of Rugby League back chat on the telly. Matt Shaw, how are you, Matt?
I'm alright, but you've already blown my secret that I'm a Halifax fan. I don't think anyone knows that.
Evels or Huddersfield, we don't have that. This is the Fax of Life. You're only going to get Fax fans on here. So join us for another hour of Rugby League debate. Let's get into it. So gentlemen, the season's underway. Fax 2 games deep. How do you think we performed in the opening 2 rounds?
Well, I can only comment on the last game. Lee, I thought they were mediocre for the 40 minutes, unplayable for 20, and then had won the game, and the last 20 didn't really matter. Obviously positive the fact that they blew away a team like Lee, having played well for 20 minutes, and they did blow them off the park.
I mean, as well, with Lee sweeping the floor really with Toulouse the week before, the expectations had gone up. So yeah, on paper it's a fantastic result, but it's one of those, I just think you need to get your first win on the board as quickly as you can. If you don't do it the first round, you need to do it the second round, just to keep that. We've had a really positive off season, haven't we? So we just needed to keep that positivity going. What do you reckon, Mike?
No, of course, yeah. I think last week we played Widnes and we all thought that was at right time, but because they'd made a load of signings and so on and so forth, might not necessarily have gelled, but we got found out there. But in terms of the league game, you're absolutely right, Matt. First half we were mediocre. We only really scored off their mistakes, but that 20-minute spell in the second half is kind of, if that's a taster of what's to come throughout the season, it'd be absolutely brilliant.
Well,
really.
I found it funny. I was talking to someone in the pub after the game and he mentioned how we scored our first try off a set play, and I said, what set play is that? Bombing it in the air and hoping it bounces into your hands with no one anywhere near you with an open run to the line. If you can practice that, I think there'd be a few more better paid coaches, don't you?
No, of course. And to be honest, I think the result was more important than performance. I think just to kind of get points on the board, because the first round results, he said Lee took points off Toulouse, Widnes going down to Toulouse as well. Toulouse were having the first 2 games without a point there. That's some statement, really.
Well, Matt will be able to say more, but I've heard along the lines of the media man in France isn't even convinced they'll make the playoffs this year the way they've started. So
it was really funny. So in the Rugby League world, we have a columnist who does the Trezzy Diary, and I
just explain what that is.
So basically, I don't even know where the term Trezzy come from. I'm not good with my Rugby League history.
It's like with 13, because
Trezis is 13 or something like that. Union Trezis Catalan. That was the first.
It's something like that. I don't know. I'm not even good at French. I did it when I was at year 9. That was about it. But long, same. I don't know, right. So, but long story short, so he does a column, and he said we asked everyone to do a bold prediction.
Right.
For the season. So I said, I'm going to put my hand up here, I said Sheffield will be pushing for the playoffs, and there they are, top of the league, thank you.
We had them 6th.
He said that Toulouse wouldn't make the playoffs, and I thought, who am I employing here? What's he on about? And now they've lost 2.
Well, on paper, I mean, for me, me and Mike were sort of putting our predictions together for the video we put out. If anyone out there's seen it, plug indeed. You can find it on the YouTube and the Facebook pages. But I was sort of toying with the idea of am I going to be bold? Am I going to have some balls? Am I going to back them to finish top? Because on paper they've signed, an already strong squad. We called them the entertainers. They love to chuck it's a bit like rugby league basketball to a degree, isn't it?
Definitely. But again, it could be one of those where the slow burners, when the dry tracks come, are there a better team to watch than Toulouse, really, when the likes of Corella and Ford?
Well, there's 2 teams in the league that are always going to have that bit of an advantage. With every team that goes to play at their home ground will have some kind of adversity to come over in terms of travelling over. So I don't think you can read too much into the fact that Widnes went there and won. Widnes are a side that have kept all the homegrown players together to a Super League standard academy. So they're going to have a good squad anyway, and they'll be highly motivated to get straight back into Super League. So they, more than anyone, needed a good start. So to say that the first home game in France they had to play Widnes was probably a bit of a slight. In previous years they've played like maybe Swinton or someone like Rochdale at home and blown them away and and got it off to a start. So I think the fact that they played Widnes at home first up, people are going to notice a lot more. Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think the defeat to Widnes is so much the concerning one. The one to Lee. I think everyone backed to lose to beat Lee.
Absolutely, yeah.
And even, look, I thought Lee were okay on Sunday, and they'll be competitive.
Yeah.
But I didn't think much more to that. I thought I've had concerns about their pack all the way through.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
If you'd have taken Douglas and Ashworth out of that pack on Sunday, it would have been
a bigger score.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the thing that was the result that would be concerning for me for Lee. But as you said, they've got three of the best players in the comp in Carella, Ford, and Reece Curran, the back rower. So I still can't see them not being in the top four if I'm completely.
And like I say, when the fact as well that there's Toronto and Toulouse that won't participate in the two cup competitions, extra rest days, and I really think that'll give them a push. Look, it's early days, it's February, everyone knows nothing's won in February.
No, of course not.
No one would have been saying that if Fax had lost on Sunday. Well, the season's over.
Oh God, we'll have more protesting.
I'd like to think we're a bit more positive this time around. There's a different feel around the ground early season. Everyone, look, you always want to get your first home game out of the way, then you want to get your first home win out of the way. Otherwise those sort of jitters and nerves sort of just hang around the crowds and such. So, but I didn't feel that going in on Sunday. I have to admit, I weren't as confident that we'd sort of deal with them as well as we did.
I
think we'd have a good chance.
And any team with Haigh and Ridyard in there, and to be fair, in that first half, Haigh were killing us around the ruck. I'd say that Douglas and Ashworth were there. They're not necessarily players and that, but Haigh was absolutely killing us. And then when we went off, Brandon Moore just found a way through and that sort of thing. If I just go back to Widnes, you're saying about the tough games after this week, even because Widnes play Toronto at Newcastle, and that's their away game.
And they've got another difficult game next week, I
Yeah.
believe, as well.
That's their tough away game's gone.
Yeah.
They've been to Toulouse. They don't have to go to Toronto where they can focus on. Yes, there's tough games in the Championship, but they've crossed the two major hurdles.
It's funny as well, isn't it, that when they were in Super League, they were always considered like, well, you'll always play in Widnes early doors in February because of the plastic pitch, and now that they're in the Championship, they've been made to play the two biggest games away first up. It's a bit backwards, isn't it?
And to be fair to them, I thought they'd lose the first three games of the season.
Yeah.
So I can't see them beating Toronto. I cannot see them beating Toronto.
I think Toronto look to be ready to go. They mean business this year.
It's the defence that's impressing me more than attack. I just don't see Widnes beating them. But even then,
but no offence to anyone else in the league, I don't really think they've played anyone. So this is Toronto's first real test. Widnes have had two what are on paper tough games,
and that will probably stand them in better stead than Toronto. But I watched Toronto against Rochdale, and to be honest, I don't even think our first gear. To be honest, I absolutely swept them aside. So just going back to a point that was being made on Haigh dominating around the ruck, room for improvement from that league game. I thought early on we were really soft in defence, like with contacts.
Yeah.
I thought the collisions were poor from our point of view. They were getting to the floor quick, getting up and just rolling.
Making a lot of meters, they got on a roll, didn't they?
And that's why we were conceding penalties.
Yeah.
Because we were then having to try and slow it down, and that is the big concern. We've played 2 games and 26 penalties conceded.
But not just that, we've had 3 sin binnings in 2 games as well. I mean,
so 26, so you're averaging 13 penalties a game, a sin bin and a half a game. You can't go through a season like that. You're gonna kill yourself.
Absolutely.
So that for me on the first 2 games is where the improvement is.
It's early in the season, as I say, that hopefully these mistakes and this discipline will be wiped out. But again, I'll go back to the Widnes thing because it produced the best start I've heard in years. That Widnes' last 2 away wins have been in France. And they're over a year apart. I think the last away win before then was against Catalan in September 2017.
After the Catalan sort of cup hangover.
I think so, yeah. So over the space of a year, the last 2 away wins have been in France. So hopefully I say not hopefully they don't win many more. But going back to your point there, Matt, I think in the first half, I think there was a bit of a hangover from the Widnes game where we were peppered a lot at the ruck. There were a lot. Miklauskas was the referee, however you pronounce his name. It was very, very on it on the ruck, and I think we were kind of a bit hesitant in doing anything at the ruck, really. Whereas Lee, their technique were brilliant. I think the amount of times it was "get him on his back" was on shout from the crowd, and also by me as well. But yeah, I think we got it sorted out in the second half. I think Marshall got into him at half time, and I say that 20-minute period was just outstanding.
The big positive for me, which is encouraging going forward, if you are watching the highlights back, and there's 3 or 4 times where either QLT or Morel get the ball in hand, and you can see them looking on their inside shoulder waiting for a runner, and you can tell just by that there's a player there that's supposed to be playing, but the timing's not quite right yet. I
said on social media when we hit our straps this year, what encouraged me even about the Widnes game when we kind of got blown away was our points of attack were right, and with a bit more work and a bit more fluidity, we'll give some teams a real hiding this year. I really believe that.
I agree, because I said, there was one where QLT waited and nothing came, so he just went through himself in the first half, and it was in the lead up to, I think it was Tyra's try. But once the runs are being made, there's going to be opening after opening. So I'm quite optimistic about that. And again, like you said, in the Widnes game, the tries were great. I know the Tyra one was literally a carbon copy of the one he scored against Lee.
It's the only thing he ever seems to do these days, isn't it?
But the QLT, the whole QLT Sharp debate. I'm a massive Will Sharp fan, but QLT should be full-back, absolutely end of discussion for me.
I totally agree there. I think people saying, well, we can put him out on the wing, you lose his ball-playing skills, you lose his brain in the middle. Where, I mean, you look last year when he came in from Toronto, played his first game at Dewsbury, and we were sort of, I mean, we weren't struggling, but we weren't, as fluid as we could have been. One game in, and we looked a completely different team overnight. Definitely. And that's what they say, one player don't make a team, but one player can make a massive difference to your attack. And as everyone knows, the most important role in rugby league at the moment these days is fullback.
No, definitely. I think we've got to the stage now where we shouldn't try to be fitting square pegs in round holes. Really. QLT is a fullback. He is a natural fullback. Because he's such a good player, he can play different positions. Sharp has got that utility value there, but if you want the strengths of both of those players, you put QLT at fullback, you put Sharp on the wing.
Yeah, and the reality is the first try that Fax scored against Widnes, where QLT throws that pass.
Exactly.
Absolutely no disrespect meant to Will Sharp. He doesn't throw that pass.
No.
And I don't think Will Sharp makes that break in the Widnes game either. And please don't take this to me bagging Will Sharp. I think he's phenomenal at what he does.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's great.
Probably Fax's most consistent player of the last 2 years, to be honest. But for me, QLT should be fullback, and Will Sharp is a very, very good winger.
I totally agree, and the best thing about Sharpie is he's nowhere near a kind of player that's going to sit there and sulk about it. I mean, I remember speaking to Sharpie at the Starman dinner, and he was telling me, like, he says, all these lads are geeks when it comes to rugby. I don't even watch it. I just want to play. He said, I don't care if I'm playing hooker or winger or I'm a sub or I'm carrying the ball. I just want to be there and I want to be involved, and that's a testament to the man. So I agree with Matt. That's end of discussion for me. QLT, he was signed as a fullback. Fax looked better with him at fullback. Moving on from that slightly, going back to the sort of points of attack, Fax have got a lot of weapons, and I think the key to success this year is the same as every other club, really. It's keeping them fit. You need to keep Brixie on the field more. You look at that ball that he put into to QLT in the Widnes game that made that break for Cameron's try. That could have gone to either or man, that face ball, you know.
I think Marshall made a point in his interview that now we're playing Grix at loose forward, he can get his hands on the ball more, and he's becoming more forward focus and attack. And I mentioned it at the game. Every time Grix got the ball in his hand, looked more dangerous. There was things happening. There's people that will run off him because he's a class act. He's been there and done it.
Well, his skills are top notch as well, aren't they? His ball handling skills. I mean, you use that sort of phrase, ball handling loose forward. I think there's your archetypal example there. I want to mention a few of the new lads. Personally, for me, I think Sean Robinson, first 2 weeks, has been arguably the best player on the field for me. I mean, he's made some good decisions. He's maybe made one mistake, but then again, who aren't going back to Q again and that mistake at Widnes. But we're all human, and if he had that time again, would he have done the same? Probably not. I mean, you can't expect a player to be getting there as quickly as he did, and. And as Mike said as well, get him out of the way early doors. would we have had Widnes away down as a victory? First up, maybe not. So yeah, I think we're all right. We beat Back Lane, we beat Fev, and all of a sudden, who cares about Widnes away?
Absolutely. The two I'd point out 2 points. Just if we're wrapping this up, I thought Ben White was.
Yeah, I was going to mention White.
I thought it was a very unsung performance. If you watch the 2 tries back that Robinson scores, he does a wonderful job. The first one in particular. Yeah. So QLT had made the break. He gets the ball, he takes it right into the line, which means that the defenders can't do anything. Brilliant cut out pass to Tyre, and that sets a try up. I thought he played really, really well. The other point to make is we're on about strike weapons. The biggest strike weapon in the team hasn't even played yet, and that's Chester Butler. Yeah. That Morel-Butler partnership last year was just phenomenal, exactly. And it's not even been there yet. So Grady,
and Jonah, you're talking about like strike weapons and partnerships. How many tries did Grady score from on that left flank from Jonah to get through?
They're like little. I know everyone seems to be getting into the American football these days, myself included, and they're like little set players, aren't they? Like like you say, you've got on one edge Morel to Butler, and then on the other edge Jonah to Grady. So that's 2 set players every game. That obviously you don't use it every attack,
But no, I'm just saying about White as well. I noticed it straight away in the second half because it's hard to play alongside Morel because Morel is obviously the dominant force. He's the captain, he's the leader. And what really impressed me about White, and it was actually my sister that kind of saw it, that agreed with me at the game, was when I think Brandon Moore got tackled with the ball and Morel went into acting half. And normally his half-back partners wouldn't necessarily be doing anything, but you could see White pointing at players, putting them there. And I think it was Robinson's second try. Again, he took it right to the line and he did the really, really tiniest little dummy which forced the defence to come in, gave Tyra that room to pass it on to Robinson. Yep. Really, really unselfish performance.
And if you read there's an article that's come out this week about how highly rated he was when he was playing down under last year as well, and that there were a few clubs that wanted to keep him, a few other rival championship clubs were after him. I think as well one part that we've now got on either side, on left and right edge attack, is a real attacking kicking game. Now last season we're talking about Tyra doing his salmon impression every single game. It seems to be, like I say, we can't have a Fax game without Tyra doing one of these flying finishes.
Disappointed if he doesn't now.
But it used to be one end of the field, Morel's edge on last tackle, he'd whip it over, Tyra would do his bit, put the ball down. Now, White has the ability to do that on a not short-term basis, on a short sort of distance basis. I mean, there was one where he put a bomb up for Tyra. It maybe only went 5 metres forward, but it was high enough and down fast enough for Tyra to take advantage. So that's something else. And then you look at depending on how players stay fit and form and whatnot, you've got Jonah comes in with his short kicking game as well. And hopefully I'd like to see more of White's sort of range kicking game and doing what Morel does Morel's fantastic at when a game's sort of getting to that bubbling point, that boiling point, of just rolling it over the sideline, and I think he'll really grow into the role, Ben White. I really do.
The acid test will be whether we can put Jonah and Ben White on the same pitch without Scott Morel. Because that would be massive. I know that Scott wants to play every single game. He's getting older. He's not going to be able to do it forever. If we can comfortably play without Scott Morel and just pull him out every now and again, it could make a huge difference to the season. And from what I saw from Ben White, I think he can probably take that role on fairly well. Yeah. So early signs, isn't it? Early days, but so far so good in that regard.
Of course, and we are going to mention it going later on. The 1895 Cup and the Challenge Cup as well. We're getting a lot of games this year, and Marshall may well want to shuffle the pack, and it'd be great on those sort of games to test White and Jonah at halfback to see if that works. We've also got the likes of Reece Chapman-Smith as well coming in. Where's he going to play? Is he a fullback? Is he an halfback? I'm not too sure, but he gave a bit of a cameo performance. Didn't really have the chance to do much really, but I'm really excited to see him play.
Have you heard much about Chapman-Smith for your travels, Matt? I know you get around the leagues.
Just that he's very highly rated at Leeds, and I think there were a lot of people who didn't want to let him go. So that says a lot, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
I thought he came on, probably didn't get much time to do his stuff.
And in an unfamiliar role as well.
Yeah, the game we won. Yeah. We were winding down at that point, so he didn't really do anything of note, but I don't think you can read too much into that. But he's highly rated. And the general consensus is that it's a really smart pickup by Halifax.
Absolutely. It's one of those as well. I think the concerns that Leeds had, I mean, it was Rob Burrow, wasn't it, that's saying that when they sort of assessed the whole squad at 16, he was the one that was going to be the world beater. I think he was maybe a little injury prone for their liking. I think it's good for the lad as well, you know, to have, he's got a place he can now call home. The fact that,
unlike all the other Leeds Rhinos French players,
absolutely,
Leeds Rovers.
And as well, you know, he's got a chance to. It says a lot about the kid's ability that he's had no pre-season. He's been literally injured halfway through, and at his first opportunity of being close to fitness, he's been put straight in over personally who I thought should have played. Curtis Davis, for me, is one of the most, in my opinion, highly rated young players at the club. Maybe even in the championship, his ball playing skills are outstanding. And look, we've talked on previous shows about the structure of our attack. How do we want it to look? You know, Adam Brook, when he played, I know he's been sent out on loan now. He played in the Boxing Day game. He got a lot of stick for his kicking, but the distribution from dummy half, it was over his head, it was down by his ankles, it was behind him. The thing that Curtis Davis gives you is every single ball from acting half is on the money to run onto or wherever you want it, and with halfbacks like we've just been talking about, we'll start to take advantage, and that's not against any of the other, because I mean, arguably Brandon Moore, if he didn't get Simbin, probably would have got man of the match on Sunday. And obviously Benny Kay, everyone loves Benny Kay and his celebrations. So you know, it's a hard squad to get into.
It is. Davies will get his chance though. Definitely. As the season goes on, Davies will get his chance. Some players are going to go on dual register once, and there'll probably be a bit of rotation on what goes on there. So I won't worry too much. I've not seen too much of him, but a lot of people are saying a lot of good things about him. So that must be a good sign. It says a lot about the reserve grade. Again, doesn't it?
No, I've seen a fair bit of him recently because I've watched all the international games over the autumn as well, and he stood out a mile. Did Curtis Davis.
That's it. International looker can't get in our starting lineup. So what does that say about
we
the
are
way
the
that we
team.
do business? You know,
we are the team. But again, you're on about a hard team to get into. I mentioned it on my radio show last night. Plug.
Talking facts, everyone. Phoenix FM. Make sure you check that out.
That Will Colcott. Who would have thought that Will Colcott would have made like the starting 17 for the first two games?
Well, I thought in friendlies he was outstanding.
It was, and it shows the reserves from last year and now properly first team players. And he's got his shirt now. He has got his place, and he won't want to give that up.
Well, that's the progression from Marsh as well. I think what goes sort of under the radar a bit is he rewards hard work. From, you know, you put the time in, you move up the ladder slightly until you get to. I mean, Chester Butler was arguably 80 minutes away from never playing for Halifax again. Now it looks like he's probably going to outgrow us. You know, who would have believed that before that Warrington game, which we probably, with a bit more luck, we would have won that day. You know,
I think you got a point on Chester. There was a very disgruntled scout at the Shea when he got the team sheet and Chester Butler wasn't on because he'd come all the way. I'm not going to say where, but he'd come all the way over just to watch him. Should have probably done his research and seen that he wasn't in the squad.
Yeah.
But you're right. It probably is. But there's others. I know that Rich really, really likes the Twins because their attitude is impeccable.
Yeah.
Which is great to hear.
They really punch above the weight as well for the size. So
it says the same about Brandon Moore. On Brandon Moore, you mentioned distribution. I noticed an improvement in his distribution on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's one of the criticisms that I've always been told of Brandon is that he struggles to clear the ruck with his passing.
Yeah.
So naturally, the markers can be a bit more proactive for the other team. But I noticed on several counts, certainly in the second half, he was spinning the ball out a lot wider, which naturally just means you're cleaning the ruck and making more meters.
Exactly, and that's probably why White and Morell had more time in the second half, especially for that. And he's going to improve if you've got like Ben Kay. Ben Kay's biggest strength is his distribution. Really, that's sort of player as a hooker, and Curtis Davis has got that as well. If he is going to progress into be a Super League player, which we all think and no doubt hope as Halifax.
Well, it's a sore subject that. I mean, that's something else altogether we could talk about. You know, you put all this time and money into development for a Super League club to just pick them off for nothing. I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I would argue that there's no transfer fees, no compensation involved. Once a transfer contract is up, the contract's up, they've got no say over it, you know?
It depends on the age. I can't remember the age. I think it might be 24.
Right.
So if you offer them a contract and I think it's 24 or under, and they've come through
a system, yeah.
then you get compensation.
But is there
I have
a
to check
minimum
on that.
time? Because you could sign, you know, a 23-year-old highly rated lad, put him in your system for a game, and then sell him on. You know,
I think it's case by case.
Yeah.
I'd have to check the proper details. But look, I mean, Halifax, I'm guessing they got something for Nick Rawsthorne. I'm guessing as much as it will have been nominal.
Well,
He didn't play a great deal of
I
games.
disagree, because from my understanding, Rawsthorne never signed a proper contract. He was still on a reserve deal.
You know, you could be right. You could be right.
So the basically it was picked up by Hull. I mean, if you watched any of the reserves games that year, you knew for a fact he were ready to play first team rugby.
And the first team, he broke into the first team that year as well, and he looked class at that.
Well,
level.
that was maybe through the fact that we were playing in a lower standard competition in the Championship Shield. If it had been qualifiers, would he have got his chance? Maybe not.
But he's still at a higher level than the reserve.
But that was the thing with I think it was Chester Butler that year got his chance. Elliot Morris got his chance. Lads that would never have played in a million years if we'd have got in the qualifiers. You know, he might have looked to go higher up and whatnot.
Of course not. The point I'm making about Brandon Moore was that if he's going to be a Super League player, he's got to be a really all-rounded hooker. Because you look at all the Super League hookers there, they've got the ability to scoot out of dummy half. They'll tackle everything there, but their distribution is spot on. And if Brandon Moore's going to make that step up, his distributions has to improve, like you said, Matt, and it did. I thought it was a massive difference.
The player that we mentioned there that we haven't given a shout out for, Elliot Morris, was unreal when he came on the pitch. He was. A lot of people said he didn't have the size, but he was throwing his weight. He was throwing himself about on Sunday. My God, he was great.
I think the year before when Sharpie won Starman, he was my player of the year. Not last season, the season before last. It was every single game. I don't remember a single contact where he got dominated. He maybe he sort of had a bit of a hangover from his first sort of full season as a first team pro. But yeah, I totally agree. I think he'll be massive for us this year.
The problem Halifax have with the reserve grade now is the fact that if the talk is that Super League reserve grade is going to be compulsory next year.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
We've heard it before. I know, but that generally is the word. Hull basically have said, look, we thought we were coming in this year, but we're
well, that was the promise originally by Kev Sinfield, wasn't it? I believe.
And it's not happened this year, but the clubs are telling me that it will be next year. The problem Halifax have is that clubs are going to stockpile players that are going to play. They're saying, oh well, we need to play some players for reserve grade. Who's decent, who's young, that we can put in, and they may turn out good for us.
Yeah.
Well, you can guarantee the first club they'll all be looking at is Halifax, and that's a concern. You've got to hope that the players would think, you know what, I'd back myself to have another year in the Championship and then go, which I know at least one player at Halifax did this time.
I believe two did, actually. I believe the two we mentioned.
Definitely one, maybe two.
Yeah.
Don't want to name names because it's not really fair at this
It's pretty
point.
obvious, though.
It is, yeah. But they've both backed themselves to have another year in the Championship and then hope that they can go straight in and do what Joe Bullock's done at Wigan, rather than go in and maybe do what Joe Batchelor's done and be sent straight back out to York.
Absolutely.
And I understand why they want to do that. So good on them for backing themselves and not taking it too soon. I think
it's one of I totally agree. The fact that you're going to play every week, you'll never develop more than in a game situation. You can do all the training, the classroom work you want, but on the field is where you're going to learn your trade.
Of course.
So the fact that you get a chance to play every week, and don't get me wrong, it's not a rubbish standard. We've seen the fact that Championship teams have gone and beaten Super League clubs recently. You know, we went through a period of maybe about a decade where a Championship club could maybe nick a tight game. I think didn't Fev got a Castle win one year, and someone pushed Wigan close and.
Salford one year. I can't remember who it was.
Well, I think London beat Salford in the qualifiers.
Yeah, I think they did.
So, you know, that gap is tightening. So the standard of the league to move up isn't that, you know, the gap isn't that wide anymore. So to say and to back yourself to have another year in the Championship to play first team rugby, you might be playing at a higher standard than if you'd been chucked in for your bit part between, I don't know, say signed for London and played against Salford, or no disrespect to any of those guys, or, you know, but just on paper what you'd expect. You know, do you agree with that, Matt?
No, yeah, definitely. I think the only issue now going forward is, like we saw this year in Super League, that quite a lot of clubs have bought decent players from the RL, people in the prime from the RL. If they are going to keep on doing that sort of thing, they may well think, do we want to buy a young player from the Championship who might not necessarily be cut out for it, even though everyone watching will know that he's ready, or do they go for a marquee kind of signing from the NRL? It's
another one as well, isn't it? That you're trying to promote clubs. They're trying to sell more season tickets. What puts more bums on seats? A lad that's played 10 games for Parramatta Eels or a lad that's played 100 games for Halifax. You know, on paper, if you know anything about your rugby league, you possibly go for the young English lad that's gonna be able to kick on and maybe challenge, to get an international spot. Who knows? I'm not saying any of our lads will, but in fact, you got Chester that's played for Wales. You've got the twins that have played for Wales, and Sean Jones as well.
Jones, I'm going to mention him.
I mean,
he's been
the
so
invisible man.
Not to feature at the moment. We've got Barnsley, isn't it, Richards?
We've, I think that's the perfect way of putting it. There's a few sort of conversations going on about Sean Jones. I spoke to him last year, and he was a bit miffed, in the on the bench. He's saying, why did I come here? I should have gone to Bradford. I might have got a game. And I say, look, you're a 20-year-old prop. Who potentially, if you're going to play and want to play at this level, will have another 15 years of getting smashed up week in, week out. Don't be so keen to get your knees smashed up and your face and your nose put across your face every week. But he's a young lad who'll want to play. I mean, I've never seen anyone that's freakishly as strong as that guy. The fact that, I think it was Richard Moore tried to tackle him in the Hunslet game. He just literally flung him off like he weren't even there. So it's an embarrassment of riches. There'll be those out there saying that. Why are we not playing Jones over people maybe like Liam Cooper, who's coming on loan from Saints, different types of players. I think the thing that's holding Jones back is his rugby union background and his technique. Maybe he's looking to go to the floor and sort of that classic putting the ball between your legs kind of motion.
But you're never going to know that until he play. You need game time, and as you said, Matt, the competitions that we have, there are going to be changes. They are going to give the squad a chance, and the player is how you react to things. Me and you were at the fans forum where Scott, Marshall and Griggs said it's how you react to not being told bad news and not being playing, and there's going to be a lot of players like that. And there was that picture where it showed all the players that weren't playing. It just showed what riches that we've got not being able to play, and hopefully Sean does take it on the chin and shows the positive values that when there is a niggle or someone not necessarily, players drop out of form as well, like say for instance Kevin Leroy. If Kevin Leroy he had an outstanding game on Sunday, if he drops out of form, he's got to be ready to come in as Sean.
I hate Joe Reg with a passion, but if there's a player,
I'm into that.
If there's a player who's going to benefit from Halifax, it's him going to Hunslet and playing some men's rugby. Like you both said, physically freak, game smarts, game know-how, probably not where he needs to be yet. Going and getting that at League One level will help him develop hugely. So if of all the players that are going to go out to dual reg, he would be the prime candidate for me to spend.
I think Conor McGrath as well will probably get some, just for the fact that lad needs to get some game time. We've seen what he can do. He's not been put in and it been like, oh well, we'll just plug a gap with McGrath on the wing. He's earned his place. I think we're at the London game last year where we had a ban. He scored arguably the best try. I don't know if you were there, Matt. He scored the best try I've ever seen at the Shea. It was, if that was the NRL, they'd be playing that before every grand final every 100%. Year, forever and a day. So, it's a funny one. But I tell you what, we'll move on from facts. We got a bit in depth there, didn't we? We got a bit carried away with but hopefully everyone out there listening in internet land has learnt something. If you've got anything you want to discuss, you can get in touch with us on Twitter and on Facebook at the Fax of Life pod, or you can send us an email. I mean, I might pick it up every now and then, you never know. The Fax of Life podcast at gmail.com. So get in touch. We are the voice of the fans. We want to hear what you've got to say. So with us having the editor of Rugby League World and all-round rugby league media maestro Matt Shaw in the house.
Maestro's a strong word.
We thought we'd get some feedback on the way the game's been promoted currently. Obviously, everyone knows that the Sky deal's up in a couple of years. It probably means a lot worse for the Championship. It's a bit ominous, if you ask me. Let's talk about the fact that clubs are now, for the first time in many, many years, starting to use their own initiative to try and get more people through the gates. Now, we've seen, and we've done a few ourselves, I've put a few together myself, the rise of the promotion video, Matt. So what I want to ask you, I want to put you on the spot, who's done the best promotional video this year?
Absolute no-brainer. Featherstone Rovers, Thompson the Terminator Tete at the end saying "Hasta la vista, badly."
Absolute
Absolute gold. The best one, hands down. Easily. But there have been a lot of good ones. I was
hoping since you're on my show you might have said mine, but whatever. We'll let that go. But yeah, the fact that again clubs are going out, they're trying to do something a bit different. I think with the rise in Netflix now, the sort of the way that sports are seen with, I don't know if you guys have that particular streaming service. Other streaming services are available.
We're at the BBC.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to say that.
I know. I didn't think so. That's for my three listeners that'll get me half a shandy at Old Post Office on Sunday if I plug them, you know. But you know, the way that, you know, you see all these documentaries about cycling and American football and soccer and all this sort of stuff, the way that sports has been viewed now, to get people to the gates, you've got to make it look a bit sort of edgy, a bit artsy, and I think clubs have really done a really good job on that. When the Super League advert came out, it's an improvement on previous years, but it's still not. You know, I've seen a couple. I think there's two different ones, weren't there? There's the Super League one where they're sort of walking out the tunnel. It didn't really make any sense to anyone until more started to come out. And then you had I think Betfred did one, which was basically all action, wham bam, thank you man, which is what we want, you know, which is what's going to sell.
Like Hull KR's promoting the whole derby.
Yeah, so brilliant. Scott Morrell on that as well.
Just constant fighting.
Yeah, but why not? That's what they want, you know.
I think what they've done, I think Super League and how they're promoting it through the City Talking probably complements what the clubs are doing, which is a bit edgier, club by club, where the Super League's a bit more polished or correct, shall we say. I think the sport, of all the developments, that's been the big development, and it's been almost overnight. Some of it has been fantastic. You know, even Batley, who were doing it in their own, only Batley way could do it with when Louis Jouffre arrived on the plane, and the bulldog, what's the bulldog called?
Oh, I don't know what he's called.
And he's there with the little taxi thing. Yeah. Apparently, true story, Louis Jouffre had no idea any of that was happening, so his reaction of complete bemusement wasn't good acting. He was just caught in the moment of what is going on. Why have I come back here? It's great.
But I mean, there's loads of clubs that have been trying that. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to sit there, obviously people know that I've been involved, but maybe our club's been a bit lacking in some of it this year. But you look at Barrow as well. I mean, we did a bit in our video, didn't they, where they were you know, had a celebrity boxing match with Gazog. Maybe the worst idea they've ever had for a new signing. But and then a video of the Papua New Guineans that they had signed seeing snow for the first time. You know, it's fun, it's lively, and it's something a bit different, isn't it?
It's the age of the viral video, like as I say, it's sounding down with the kids, but Vine and all that stuff. It needs quick videos that get the point across, and you like we're all on social media. Like the amount of times that people are posting videos about all sorts of stuff. Get Rugby League on there. They say the whole one's fantastic, because one of the main reasons that people go and watch Rugby League is for the big hits, it's for the contacts, and seeing Scott Morrell flatten with Craig Fitzgibbon, absolutely brilliant, and that sort of thing there, and anything different on is bound to get people talking. We need more eyes on the product, to coin a Robert Elston phrase, but we need more eyes on it.
How have we not even mentioned Eddie Batty and that cheese sandwich yet?
Oh yes,
that was probably behind Thompson Tay. That was probably the best thing I've seen all season. That was phenomenal, and he got on Hawksby and Jacobs on Talk Sport. Like, what does that tell? And that, I mean, you could go into that proving the value of London as well, but that's a different story. It proves if you just do these things and put yourself out there, it works. You can do huge things for yourself and for the town and whatever else.
I thought one of the things that when the much maligned Hearns were touted about coming in, saying Eddie Hearns said, "Oh, I can't name Rugby League players. There's no personalities." Hopefully, people will remember the likes of Eddie Batty, Louis Jouffre, Tete, all those sort of players. There'll be names on people's lips, and they say it's fantastic PR that Eddie Batty got on TalkSport, and hopefully people who don't necessarily watch rugby league day in, day out, or week in, week out will know Eddie Batty, and they'll go, oh, he plays for London. Yeah. Let's go to Whelan and see what it's like.
The best example of all of them is Anthony Gelling. I'll
absolutely.
explain why. I'm not going to go into fax machines because that really wound me up. But,
let it go, man! I had to start. It was hilarious.
So we did a quick fire Q. We do this quick fire Q&A in Rugby League World.
Yeah,
I'm doing my own plug.
Absolutely.
We've got Anthony Gelling this time, and I don't know who the fax fan was. They just when they sent in was disgruntled fax fan. Anthony, where on earth did you come up with Halifax fax machines? You've upset a lot of Halifax fans. And he was going on, and he went, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've come up with an actual name for Halifax that I need to take up. Like, all right, okay, he's giving us some thought. What's he going to come with? The Halifax helicopters. I thought, oh no.
Helicopters.
So the problem is,
Hellfires,
the
baby.
problem is someone will screenshot that, and that'll be all over. That'll be the next nickname on Wikipedia, and it's like, for crying out loud.
But I mean, that video he did from the bridge over in Widnes, where he was literally like, up and at him, and let's go and get yourself down.
So this is the point. Let's be honest. The club that's had the most negativity around it for the last 2 years is Wigan.
Absolutely,
the fans despise the board. The board probably despise the fans.
Yeah.
Everyone's hated everyone. Anthony Gelling's come in with his carefree attitude and some silly hand gesture and now everyone's united. Everyone absolutely loves Widnes Vikings. Everyone's going. They're on the way to selling 10,000 tickets for 2 games. And it's all because one geezer's come in and just not really cared and just made a bit of a proud of himself.
I agree to that to some degree, but I think the other thing as well is we mentioned it in our preview of the season is they got the winning feeling back.
Of course, that's a big thing as well.
They lost many games. I mean, Bleeding Widnes have only won like 2 league games in the last however long, and both of them were against us before Toulouse away. So, I mean, are we? I know we're obviously talking about promotion and stuff, but are we ever going to beat Widnes again now? Ever since Blackie dropped the ball, did Blackie stand on a Widnes Witch's back and break it or something years ago?
I think we did beat him in 2010 where there was another fight. We keep talking about fights, but I think we beat him on the way to the 2010 grand final. But yeah, you're absolutely right there. He needs more players to kind of be kind of carefree. Like as I say, but rugby AM kind of do it. I think I'm a big critic of it because I think it portrays rugby league in the wrong way, and I don't want to get into it massively. Right. It's something I believe in what they're trying to do, but I think it's kind of doing it the wrong way. Anyway.
I think the lack of sort of personalities and people in the game that are willing to go out there and do that is a byproduct of the RFL's own making, really. In the terms of people used to go out there on Twitter. Maybe the players pushed it a bit too far and they've gone through this sort of media, which is like reconditioning media training, you will be re-educated and sent back into the world, I don't know what accent that was, by the way. But
I have no idea. You're right, though. You're right. Because the thing is as well, you're not going to get every player being an Anthony Gelling. No. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Like Jackson Hastings. Yeah. Right. Jackson Hastings, another. Now, he's not going to go out and do daft things like that or terminate Batley. Well, he could, but you know what I mean? But he can go out in the community and do wonderful things because he's that type of guy. Ryan Bradley was phenomenal at Lee for that, and he's at Toronto now. They might not all be the players that are going to become the big name stars. Yeah. But what they can contribute in the local communities is huge. You've just got to pick those out, and the clubs have a responsibility.
Absolutely,
the clubs have a responsibility of picking and identifying their own players out. Scott Morrell, the king of one-liners. You know that you can get something daft out of him. But then on the flip side, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. QLT is really good with youngsters. Yeah. So you get him knocking about. That's the way it's got to work for me. Jacob Fairbank. I mean, someone should be going and doing a big piece. I'm probably giving my rivals but go down to his farm, Fairbanks Farm. Well, like one of the most famous families in rugby league. Get down
like
there,
an expose. There's so many stories. The thing as well. I mean, you'll know from obviously being the head of the new TV show. Yeah. That we used to have magazine shows in rugby league where they go out and film a feature. I remember
Boots and All did it.
Boots and All.
That's what it used to be.
It's gone. So that sort of, but that sort of went before the time of, like Mike said, the viral video where you could clip that up then and put it onto other. It was like if you didn't watch it on Sky, that's it. You're never going to see it again.
The thing is, though, I do still think there's room for that.
Absolutely. But there's no finances for it. That's the
problem. But I am a great believer is that if your content is good, it don't matter how long it is. If it's good, people will watch it or read it.
Absolutely.
we went through a phase. I went through a phase with Rugby League World when I got it, and I thought everything needs to be 2 pages, 4 pages, because no one wants to read anything longer. And I've realised from the feedback we get, it'd have been great if that was 6 or 8 pages. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? And so the hunger's there. People will sit in front of a TV, will sit on with their headphones in for an hour. If it's good, you'd hope they'll do that with this podcast as an example.
Because people like American football, and that lasts about 4 or 5 hours. But no, I agree. I think there's definitely a place for magazine shows. There's magazine shows for pretty much every sport you can think of, really. There's one for Sky Sports have one for Rugby Union. There's no Rugby Union on Sky, really.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, like I've got Sky. Yeah, I've got Sky, and I look through. I'm a sports fan. Obviously, I love Rugby League, and I'll bleed Halifax and that sort of thing. But I will watch other sports. I'll watch kind of other programs to get into sports, and the amount of stuff on like the Sky Guide to do with golf, cricket, netball. And I'm saying nothing, no disrespect to netball. I actually watched a game after one of rugby games recently, and it was great to watch, really. And because there's more focus on it, it's there. And there are magazine shows which basically kind of say, here's what happened at the weekend or the last set of games. Here are some of the personalities away from the game. Why can't we have another Boots and All?
It is annoying. You are right, though. It's a really fair point. Like it is frustrating. It is frustrating, and with Sky, there's no reason why they can't get it out there. They're
not bothered though. I mean, if you've ever been involved to a degree at a higher level, you know that there's no interest from Sky. How do our viewing figures compare with these rugby union figures, these cricket figures, these darts, these golf, these snooker?
But that's probably why they don't care.
Exactly.
On the flip side,
but your content needs to be good for you. As well, we're talking in terms of like, we're going to move on and talk about the changes in the rules a bit later on, but the changes in rules in the past might have turned people off the game, made the game slow down. There's times where you can sit and watch a live game. This is before the new stuff obviously came in, where it'd last until 10 o'clock. And I mean, obviously, excuse me, being in your game, Matt, doing the match report, and it's the worst thing in the world. They get a last minute try. You've got 5 minutes to rewrite an hour and a half's worth of work. It just wasn't working. So, people are going to switch off. There's a 10-minute delay in game here for us. 5-minute delay for a scrum. I'm going to turn off. People have got that short attention span, which is. In fact, should we come on to the rule changes?
Yeah, let's do it. Shot clock. It's been great. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
To an extent, I have some reservations.
Here we go.
The positives, it sped the game up. I went to Huddersfield. The game had finished. I spoke to both coaches. Had a pint at me on by 10 o'clock. Absolutely buzzing.
That's priorities. That's priorities right there.
Absolutely buzzing. There's less kicks going into touch. The most kicks I've seen go out of touch with Halifax game, that was Morel kicking 2 on the bounce just to kill the game off.
Yeah.
That's been great. The ball is staying in for longer periods, which means for a TV audience, you're not likely to see someone going down mysteriously with cramp. You're likely to go straight in, and when you channel flick in, there'll be some rugby on.
Yeah, of course.
That's the whole point.
I was just about to say, in terms of, I've been the armchair viewer ever since it's come on. As obviously you've been at games, things like that. The best thing about it as a fan is that because it finishes at 9:30, you can actually have some proper analysis at the end of the games. Far too often last year, it finished. Don't even have interviews with either coach and that, and it goes. Whereas now we've got proper analysis. You've got John Wells right at the touch screen with a player, and that's possibly the best bit about it. So that this is a try to score. Why did you think that? And it's fascinating, that sort of stuff.
It is, and the other thing as well for your live audience, if the game's finishing at 9:30 rather than 10, you're more likely to take your kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a huge positive as well. And I just think all in all, he's done wonders already, and it's evolved the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to get forwards coming on for 10 minutes and going off again. Some people will say that's not great because people like a Paliacina coming on and just causing mayhem for 10 minutes and going off. But you can see the two obvious ones are Lee Mossop and Liam Watts, who have been playing more than an hour, which is phenomenal for a prop. But the game's evolved. The reservation I have.
Here we go.
The reservation I have is this. There's two. The first one's championship specific.
Right.
So, as an audience, you've been watching the games, you've seen both Halifax games. You have no idea how long's left on the shot clock.
No.
Because obviously it's different to Super League. We have it's basically communicated from the match commissioner to the referee, right? So you've no idea, absolutely no idea how long's left. I don't think from a viewing standpoint that's good, because it's frustrating. The other thing is how intricate it is with injuries. So the rule is right, if the referee starts the shot clock, or he's only supposed to start the shot clock if everyone is fit and on the feet. Yeah. If someone goes down, they receive treatment, and then the fine, they have to go off. Yeah. And they don't come back on until there's another stoppage or a turnover. Yeah. Fine, no problem with that, because it'll stop people going down with cramp for dropouts and scrums. The problem is, if someone goes down before the shot clock starts, they're not supposed to start the shot clock because it's deemed that they...
So there's a glitch in the matrix there, yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's funny. I wanted to mention you said like the shot clock's probably going to stop people going down with cramp and that. The fact that as the season gets into summer, we've got less interchanges. Players might genuinely start going down with cramp,
and that's the thing. So it's one of those. What they can do is we'll have to see it as it comes on. Even I don't really know it. The physio can come on and make the decision and tell the ref he thinks he can get him fit before the shot clock finishes, which means they'll be able to treat them while the shot clock's going, and then as long as they're up on the feet.
Well, I just wanted to make a point of even if the shot clock's going, I mean, it's all dependent on injuries. If he's got a cut on his eye, just needs a bit of strapping, why can't they do that? You know, if the clock were running anyway. Right, well, once the shot clock's finished, the ball's fed, well, he's going to have to do you on the make, and if they run it in the defensive line, it's your own fault, isn't it? So but you need to go off the field to have it done.
The point of the matter, what I'm trying to make here is, we've had 2 weeks now, and no one really knows exactly how it's supposed to work. Yeah. Now, throwing the fact, going back to the championship, and you've got all these intricacies with injuries and when they go down and how that affects the shot clock, you can see it coming. People are going to be baffled about certain things that are going on. Yeah. Like why is he being made to go off? Blah, 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 blah. It's just going to get really confusing, and I think that's a big fear for me with his shot.
I think I'll play a bit devil's advocate in terms of championship level. Does it because at Super League level there is an actual clock that you can see and it counts down and stuff. I think at championship level, do we really need? Is it the point of the shot clock is to speed up the game really, and hopefully you think players will. Well, I said that from last year. Players aren't necessarily that honest. The players and coaches and physios and doctors will do everything right. They'll be honest about these sort of things, and that people won't necessarily be bothered about a shot clock because the game just flows. And hopefully they don't need the actual appearance of a clock counting down to actually show that.
Do get that, and I agree. And on the whole, it don't look like it's going to make a difference. No one's missed a shot clock yet. No. It would be. Try to explain another penalty to be given over because they didn't kick it in time, or where's the time? I don't know. Won't be. That doesn't look like it's going to be an issue. It's down to the whole injury thing. Yeah. Like, why have they been made to go off? Why? That's the bit that concerns me with the championship more than anything.
But hopefully, as it goes through, and to be fair, most people fans of the championship will watch Super League as well. Yeah. I think it will just get into people's psyches really. That penalty there. Oh, they must have not been injured. There'll be
a signal for it, like there is for a strip, or there will be a signal for it. It's just the fact that you would think that this would have all been laid out, and we would know, and we wouldn't be having to have this conversation 2 weeks in. That's the thing that concerns me.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Obviously, that's not the only change in the rules. We've had the abolition, I think is the word, of the free play. Personally, don't matter to me at all. How many times have you ever seen it work, really?
It made a big difference in the league game. And I'll tell it. So when that high kick went up early in the second half.
Right, I'm gonna. If you're gonna say what you think, I think you're gonna say, I'm gonna call you out. Go on.
High kick went up. Yeah. Yep. Robinson dropped the ball.
No, he didn't.
He fumbled the ball.
No, he didn't. As it were going down, he did what Tyra did at Bradford a few years ago, and before it even got anywhere in the air, he batted it backwards. If you watch the tape, right?
I'm not saying he knocked it on. I'm saying he dropped the ball.
All right. Touche. Continue, please.
Drop the ball.
Told me.
Right. They kick forward. Let's say hypothetically he's knocked the ball on at that point, right? They kick the ball on, and it goes out. So we get the 7 tackle set. Now, under free play rules, that wouldn't have been given if he'd have knocked it on. So it made a big difference. By the way, how did we get a 7 tackle set from that? It should have been a sin bin. I can't remember it was a welding back.
I think it was Ben White.
It was a disgusting call from the referee
The whole
in Halifax's favour. It was a disgusting
But
call.
the fact, I mean, I think the reason I got so touchy is because I had to deal with a lot of Widnes fans giving me a lot of abuse over social media over the weekend. Over the Widnes Lee fans, sorry, should I say, giving me abuse over the weekend. So, yeah. They said it made an instant impact. If you watch the game back, there were a 15-minute period after that where nothing really happened with traded sets. So personally, I mean, it would have had an impact on them, but they'd have probably gone for 2. Would we have still scored 2 tries for at the other end anyway, because we were starting to get on top then? But I don't think it had an effect on the game. I think if you're a Lee fan, you say it has a massive effect. But I don't agree it's a sin bin.
If I was a Lee fan, let's say the colours had changed, and it would the other way around would be saying it had a massive effect on the game. In my opinion.
Fair enough. I will agree to disagree.
That is allowed on the.
And then obviously the final rule change was the lowering of the number of substitutions, which personally I think that it's gone from 10 to 8. Yeah. Personally, for Super League, I think it makes sense. Full-time pros, they're getting closer to each other than ever before. It might open the game up, but I think for Championship lads who have full-time jobs as well, I think it's a player welfare one for me at a lower level. You know,
it's a conundrum, isn't it? Because we were talking before we came on air about the fact you don't want. We've already got like 10 different variations of the laws.
I was just about to say that.
So I think you've got to go down the same route. I take the point. I think it's a very fair point. At the same time, I think because of the demands, the game will naturally slow down more in the Championship than it will in Super League, to make way for the fact that the demands are becoming more rigorous on players who aren't quite as fit and have full-time jobs and so on. So the point is valid. I don't think it will make I don't think it's that big an issue. Not from what I've seen so far.
No, and you listen to players and coaches, they don't think it'll change the tactics of players really, because there are plenty of players who go off and they don't necessarily need to go off really. It's just a matter of getting other players on, and that's so on and so forth.
I don't know if you saw today though, so there was a Man of Steel launch on Monday.
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Ellery Hanley and Paul Sculthorpe have come out today backing him to go from 8 to 6. I'm like...
Oh, that's a big stretch.
I can just see the props like reading that and just getting angry.
I mean, it would change the game completely, because who do you carry on your bench then? You're going to go back to the days of making props play 80 minutes, which is, I mean...
Which some players can do, really. As I say, you mentioned Liam Watts, I think he'd be able to last the full 80, really. You might not necessarily get the
that's in a case of if he's just staying up. If he gets injured in the first minute, you're going to have to put your winger on the bench at prop, you know. I mean... It's absolutely bonkers. I want to make a point which is completely separate to what we've just been talking about. I don't know if you wanted to mention about the substitutions, Mike.
No, go for it.
Is in terms of player welfare now. A lot of people have seen it's been spoken about a lot over the past week. We missed the taping last week. We apologise for that. We know you're all out there eager in internet land to get your fix of the facts. But Will Hope getting injured at Sheffield playing for Swinton in the opening round, leg facing the wrong way, left on a stretcher for multiple hours. I mean, what's your take on this whole thing? It's absolutely... I mean, if it were me or one of my mates, we wouldn't be playing a game there again.
It was shocking, and again, if it's at a higher level or a different sport, say footballs or whatever, it would be an outrage. It would be an absolute massive outcry. I was under the impression that if you had a game where the people pay to go in and watch, and it is part of a structured competition, that there has to be an ambulance present at the ground. I'm not too sure if that is the case, but nevertheless, to have a professional sportsman, semi-pro, part-time, whatever, a professional sportsman suffer that sort of injury and having to sit on a floor for 3 hours, then having to get his own teammates to lift him onto a coach to drive him halfway across the country to go to a hospital to get treated after suffering this injury in a structured game which is supposed to be on the up and everything. I don't even need to say it. It's just an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I agree. The problem is, it's not... Sheffield have been, as far as I'm aware, cleared of any wrongdoing. As of Swinton, the RFL can't do a great deal. The problem is it's an NHS issue. So
Let's try to get too political on this
I
show.
know, but what I'm saying is there's not a lot, there's not a great deal of sport that can do. What they can do is do what they do in football and make sure there's an ambulance at every game at the top level, but the costs are mammoth.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really tough one. Ultimately one that I don't think the game or the clubs can do a great deal about, which is wrong.
Yeah,
it
is wrong.
But unfortunately, I think it was probably adjudged that the injury wasn't as serious as it actually was, and I think there was a mistake at that end, to be honest.
Right, but what constitutes a serious injury? What concerns a priority?
Well, I think if your
like
leg's facing the opposite direction, as he said,
exactly, yeah. As I say, we don't want to kind of split hairs and say, well, that's not a priority, and a heart attack or a broken neck or something like that isn't.
Well, I think
more
this was the issue.
Sort of
Wasn't this what was said, that the way that they tag injuries? I mean, obviously, a heart attack's not self-inflicted unless, I don't know, you smoke today like rubbish every day forever and never exercise or whatever. But I think they class rugby injuries as you sort of know the risks when you're going on there. I think again, like Matt said, it's an NHS issue. It's
self-inflicted sort of thing.
You know, I think. I remember speaking to a paramedic friend of mine. He said, you know, on some nights there's one ambulance across the district and that's it.
Yeah.
And if it's taken up doing this over here and something else happens, then you know they've got to tag and prioritise. So, I mean, it's one of those. It's just something that needs looking at and working towards making sure that it never happens again.
If the RFL
if you have to bring in a rule, the Will Hope rule. Yeah, where, you know, and so be it.
There is an ambulance there. If the RFL or Super League or whoever wants to do it has got some money spare for that sort of thing, player welfare is a massive part of the game. It's becoming both mental and physical. Yeah. If they have got to free up some funds so that in the top three divisions where people do pay to go and watch a stadium or whatever, that there is an ambulance on there, I think that is something that.
Well, I mean, how many times
really.
as well have you been at a game? I mean, obviously it's well documented. We've got sort of an ageing audience where someone's been taken ill during a game.
Yeah,
you know.
Didn't it happen at one of the games at the international games? Wasn't it? I think it was Elland Road.
I think so. Yeah,
where someone got taken ill there.
I think he only survived because there happened to be a doctor in the crowd. Something along those lines.
But we're kind of digressing into those
Absolutely,
things.
Yeah, you're right.
When I've played rugby at a younger age, I've unfortunately been there where people have had really serious injuries, like really bad leg breaks and neck injuries.
Well, I was at the Halifax London Broncos Academy when Matt King broke his neck. You know, we played before them, and they had to get the helicopter out. So obviously, no one goes onto that pitch knowing that. You know that. Everyone knows that something is potential to go wrong at some point.
True.
I mean,
you can potentially get knocked down by a bus if you cross the road.
Exactly.
Sort of
struck by lightning or eaten by a shark. Yeah, of course. So, like you say, we're digressing, aren't we? There's a couple more things I want to get to. I just wanted to mention while we were talking, just in sort of general terms, we were talking about promotion earlier. I wanted to give a shout out to Warrington Wolves. Mike brought this to our attention that they've been. Trying to build their crowds, and obviously the clubs now. Isn't it weird that it's taken the fact that we knew that the Sky contract and the change in media world and less money has forced clubs to actually start doing some of their own promotion, but they've started putting up Polish language posters. They know they've got a big Polish community around the area, and why not try and tap into those? I think this is something, an area where rugby league's really, really struggled in recent years. Now you look at, this might be controversial, some. You look at the areas where rugby league teams are from, then you look at the area of that town or city where the stadium is located. They were always built in the low cost housing, sort of working class areas. That generation of people have moved up into the middle classes now. These low cost houses have been taken up by people maybe from other parts of the world that have no interest in rugby league, have no tradition in rugby league, and we've lost a whole generation of an audience because they're just not bothered, and no one's made an effort. You know, if you want to get into the Asian community and try, you know, those lads are sport mad.
That is the $1 million question.
But what can they do? You know, they just roll with what's his face out. Akram, Ikram Butt.
Yeah, I was literally took the words out of my mouth there. I've been
pandering, you know.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get coached by Ikram Butt when I was younger, and he was part of the South Asia Bulls team, I think it was, when back in the day, and he said it's the $1 million question that places like Bradford, Halifax, Huddersfield, Dewsbury, Batley, who've got a high percentage of first and second class immigrants who have come over to the country, who have settled in. Again, sports mad. You think of Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, cricket, football, that sort of thing, and Ikram Butt was the flag bearer of it. But if we're going back to the original point in terms of the Polish marketing, you've got Alejski for Leeds. He's a Polish guy. He could be someone to really hang your hat on and promote the game there. And hopefully, for what Warrington are doing there, it'll spread round different towns and cities. You look at, like for instance, just to pick a name out, Batley there. Batley has got a mosque near the ground.
Yeah, I was just thinking of
Batley's got a mosque near the ground. How brilliant would it be now if Batley, you mentioned it before in terms of the promotional video as you, Frey, if they went out into the community and said, look, come and watch us, come and have a day out where it's not necessarily cricket. Again, it's hard in the winter months and that sort of thing there, but how many, when you come out of Batley Stadium where people are playing cricket, but the amount of people just around the area who are doing nothing really, think, hang on, there's a sport going down on your doorstep there.
Batley's like the obvious one for me. Like, and I'm not saying they haven't done anything. I don't know. I genuinely don't know if they have tried. But you've got to think that there's a way for them to get into that.
And as well, that
community.
there's big community values within those communities as well, where, you know, in times of crisis they're out there, you know, doing their bit. It's part of the sort of ethos of, you know, that community. So rugby league's all about community, about getting out there and helping people better themselves and live better lives, you know. So the parallels are there. It's just finding that one sort of spark to cross over across the country, you know. You look as well, you talked about Alejski being Polish. The Poles are very, you know, and sort of Eastern European sort of nations are generally like the boxing. They are tough. They like tough sports. Now, if you go out there and say, come and have a look at this lad's working on a building site all week, but then on Sunday he's going to go and absolutely annihilate a lad twice his size. I won't mind seeing that, you know. So I think it's an area where it needs to be looked at.
And Halifax has a fair Polish community as well.
Yeah.
You know? And Huddersfield certainly does. So yeah, I agree. I think fair play to Warrington. I think there's a lot of clubs could learn.
Definitely. And I work in Bradford City Centre, and it's a melting pot of many different cultures, nationality, and it's fantastic in that respect there. But let's not kind of like beat the rugby league down. All sports have an issue with that. Look at football, biggest sport by far in the country. There's No, but if you think of like people being in actually making it, if I'm talking about an actual participation there's not that many, if any, top level British Asian players, British Polish, that sort of thing there, and for people to aspire to. The only name I can think of in terms of football is Michael Chopra in terms of an Asian football that's got there. We've mentioned Ikram, but as you said before, I work with plenty of Asian people. I work in the middle of Bradford. They are sports mad. They will watch football, they'll watch cricket, they'll watch anything. I'm trying my best to get them to watch rugby league, and I say, look,
not Bradford though.
Yeah, no, Bradford. I'm flying the blue and white flag. If they are going to be doing it, it's for people on Super League, to be fair, because I say it's on Sky, and I will mention that I'm watching it on TV and stuff, and I say, oh, it's on at a certain time where football isn't necessarily on, and they hopefully they'll watch it, and by doing clever marketing like Warrington's done, hopefully it will bring more people in.
Totally agree. So we're gonna start to sort of wind it down a little bit. I'm gonna give our guest Matt Shaw a chance to give us a bit of an insight into his upcoming ventures. So when can we expect to see the next episode of Backchat hitting our screen?
So the first one is filmed I want to say the 2nd of March.
So it's a monthly TV show.
It's weekly.
Oh, is it weekly?
It was starting really late. We did it last year as well. I don't know why.
You'll have plenty to talk about. That's good.
Yeah, we have 30 weeks. So once we get going, it's great.
Fantastic.
We just starts late. So yeah, it'll be on 3 Sports I think it's Thursday at 5 o'clock this year. I think we're the same as last year. We record it Tuesday. Yeah, and we're just going to try and mix it up a bit this year, get more players on, which is a big thing. We've got a few ideas with who we'd like to see on with who. Jake Connor and Gary Schofield on the same as one.
Yeah,
because I mean, that just sounds to me like,
we'll be talking about, everyone talks about personalities, just get them together, let them have a bit of banter together, you know, that's what it's all about. If they were sat in the corner of a pub and he says, hey, you know, say Schofield's slagging Connor off before a game, Connor goes out there and has a wonderful game, wouldn't you like to see him afterwards go, rubbish, am I?
Yeah.
Gonna do no, am I? You know,
that's the thing, that's what we want, and that's what we're going to try and go down. We don't really, it's not a magazine show as we talked about. I think there is space for one, but that's not what Backchat has ever been. I don't think that will become that, but what I do think it can be is a hub for real debate that can get people thinking, that can contribute to the game. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've never presented a TV show before, so
I think you'll be fine. But
to be completely honest, I think if anyone looked at me, they would have never thought that I'd present a TV show, but there we are. I am on a very, very strict diet. That is fair, but this is life.
To be fair though, whenever you've been on the show, you've come across very, very well. I think you'll do a really good job there. Will there be opportunity to watch the show again? Because I know there are people, i.e. my sister, who cannot get free spots.
Yeah, so it gets uploaded to YouTube. I think it's every Friday night. It might be Saturday morning, but it does get uploaded every week. So yeah, some people can't get. My grandma's absolutely pig sick because she can't get it either for whatever box she's got. I've no idea where she got this box from, but yeah. So that's the same. But it does go on YouTube every week in the end.
Fantastic. And they said that is it going to be a film in the same place every week, or is it going to be mixed up and that?
I think there's talk of moving it to a more of a home. Like that will look more homey for a rugby league. It'd
be easier for you to produce as well if you can find somewhere where you can literally just roll in and you know what you're doing.
We did it at the Pit Sports Bar, which there was nothing wrong with the venue, but it didn't really feel like a home. It felt like a rugby league show being filmed in a pub sometimes. So there is, and we were aware of that. And look, we might still have to do some there. But there are talks of it moving to a much more homey home.
Fantastic.
Which I think would be a good thing.
And obviously, as well, you're the editor of Rugby League World magazine. When can we expect the...
I've had a lot of stress with that this month. A lot of stress.
Hey, I've told him I'll write an article every month just saying how terrible Bradford are.
Honestly,
as long as he publishes it every month.
Request, Harriet Eames, who's a good friend of mine, Fax fan, she's always pestering me to write an article like, you will get me sacked. There's absolutely no way you are writing for my magazine. But we've had a lot of people bailing on articles this month, and it's Muggins here who has to find a way to fill all these pages. So
that's why you do it. It's better than working in a cafe, isn't it? Or, you know?
Well, look, I can't argue, can I? I get paid to watch and write rugby league. Like,
living the dream.
I am living the dream, really. Just sometimes it really winds me up.
Yeah, that's when you go to Hull on a Thursday, isn't it?
Last week, Hull on a Thursday. So I get into work at 9, work till 5, drive to Hull, do the game on the radio. I have to go on a 19-mile diversion round the pits of Hull because that stupid road show. Yeah. Get home at 1, back in work at 9 o'clock, and that's when I'm like, not for me. But it is what it is.
Like you say, you could be digging coal down pit sink.
I can't argue. But the next mag's out Friday 22nd if we're going out on
Friday
22nd. We come out, and so one of the pieces I've done, I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster at first. It was trying to get clubs to tell me who they'd nearly signed over the years.
Right.
I thought no one will tell me. You know what it's like, modern day.
It's very cloak and dagger.
All confidential, this and that. It's been anything but. Like, I've literally, I've rang someone, interviewed, and then 5 minutes later, I forgot about this guy. I'm like, all right, so it's been years. Unbelievable.
People want to talk about rugby league. The past players have got so much. I've been trying for years to get a feature going, Mad Monday stories. Look at, have you ever seen the great BTV videos that they did with like Freddie Flintoff, where he tells the tale about getting it in the spuds with a cricket ball and you know these fantastic stories, and you sit and And my brother had never watched a game of cricket in his life, never watched a test match. I had no idea who he was. But he sat there listening to that. He's like, that's funny. What, is that what they do at cricket? I might watch that. It sounds interesting.
I agree. I did that training day with.
But you know what? No one wants to let the missus know. So
I did the training day with.
Yeah, fantastic. I saw that. You got smashed.
So we're like, what else? I did get smashed. We're like, what else can we do? Like, what else can we make you do? So I am going on the night out for Summer Bash. Ooh. That is going to be a magazine feature.
Oh, really?
So everyone who I know, be on best behaviour. I've got to make sure I'm on best behaviour.
I'm going to say that video. I'm going to make a prediction now. That video will be 1 minute long of usable footage. That will be it.
But so we're doing that. But the other, we've got a few other things, and one of the things I want to do, I'm trying to find a club that'll let me go on the Mad Monday with them. I mean,
like I say, it won't happen, mate.
We tried last year and it won't happen. And I get it. I do. Anyway, back to what I was saying about this piece about the signers.
Yeah. So
I spoke to various people. I spoke to Robert, former football manager at Halifax.
Okay.
Now as we speak, I'm due to speak to him again, but he was telling me some great stories, and one of the stories he told me about who Halifax nearly signed was Tanner Umaga, so Mike's brother. Yeah. I'm like, really? Like, he was really good at rugby union. Yeah, well, he went on to become the New Zealand captain, but he verbally agreed to join Halifax, and then pulled out. So Halifax nearly had Tanner Umaga, and then I was on the phone to Carl Harrison today because I was asking him about when he was at Salford and there's like Craig Gower. I'm giving away this whole bloody piece here.
I forgot about that.
So and he was telling me, like, literally he nearly signed Craig Gower at Salford in 2006. So I was telling him I'd spoke to everyone. He went, "Have you got the one about Halifax when they nearly signed Gillmeister?" I'm like, behave yourself. He's like, no, they genuinely nearly signed him. He wanted to come, but Halifax turned him down because he was too small.
Wow.
This fella went on to like become one of the most recognisable guys ever. Fax turned him down.
Yeah, he's an Origin legend, and also if you are looking on YouTube, he does a very, very funny fall over on the Origin on the steps. It's very, very funny. Everyone's wearing suits and that, and there's Trevor Gillmeister, typical Aussie in shorts and t-shirt, and walking out, and he absolutely stacks it. You just got to watch it. It's very, very funny.
So it's amazing, some of the stories. So I'm really looking forward to that piece coming out. I'm speaking to Rugby again tomorrow, so I'm hoping that I'll have even more beauties from it. I need to ask him about that. I think I've made that Fax nearly signed Paul Sculthorpe and Adrian Morley at one point. Mid-90s when they were literally.
This was a dream that you had? Or?
No, I'm fairly sure. I'm fairly sure that I have been told the story. Certainly of Paul Sculthorpe nearly signing for Halifax, and it was something to do with the fact that he'd been told he was on a certain amount of money relating to the rest of the squad, but players speak, and he found out he wasn't. This is what I'm led to believe. This is the tale I've been told. It could be a lot of fibs.
I was going to say he went on to become arguably, in my opinion, the best player to play Super League.
So, well, I'm actually thinking I might just ring him and find out, but then I don't want to because I'll be typing it up with tears coming down the face. Halifax nearly signed the best one. This is the last thing I'm giving away. There's loads. The best one. I rang Gary Heverington. I'm thinking Leeds. He must have had some big names.
Yeah.
But Gary's like, oh, we don't deal with speculation. Oh, come on, Gary. Come on. Like, genuinely, every overseas player we wanted, we signed. All right. But when I was at Sheffield, I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1995, I was told to go and check out this winger playing in the Rugby Union World Cup. So I went to South Africa.
Don't say it.
I went to South Africa and met none other than Jonah Lomu.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay. Long story short, they offered him £1 million for 5 years. Lomu was keen as hell.
Why wouldn't you be?
He wanted to come. The day after, he went to... he played England in the World Cup. Absolutely destroyed him. Yeah. Literally, it was the game that catapulted him into superstar region. And then there was absolutely no way, and that was the end of Jonah Lomu going to Sheffield. If he'd been dropped or been ill that day, Jonah Lomu would have probably been a Sheffield Eagles player.
Wow! To be honest, I'm glad that never happened.
I tell you what, we're going to leave it. How do you top that? We're going to leave it. We're going to leave the show there for that, I think, Mike. So to cut you off there.
It's fine. All I'm going to say is that when Thrumall was getting knocked down, me and my family went into the pavilion and we found a lot of old wage slips for certain players, and the amount of money that we we were paying players back in the 90s, that the rumour about Morley and Sculthorpe doesn't seem that far-fetched, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's definitely a magazine to keep your eyes out for, ladies and gentlemen. I'll certainly be picking up a copy. If that's a taste of what's to come, it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic edition. Gentlemen, that's another show wrapped up and done and dusted. I want to say thank you to Mike as always. Thank you to Matt very much for coming in and living the dream. Make sure you check out the podcast, get it downloaded, and until next time, see you later, Fax fans.